Hi, Hannah.
Hi.
So I'll tell you a little bit about our session today. So we'll get to talking in a little bit, but I just want to let you know about some confidentiality things. So anything we say between us is going to stay between us. Exceptions are going to be if you want to do harm to yourself or harm to others, or there's other suspected abuse or neglect. Then I am a mandated reporter and I do have to report that to authorities. So, does everything sound good to you?
Yes.
All right. So, what brought you in today?
So it's actually kind of funny. I actually feel very good today. Like I'm having a great day. I feel like it's because I'm on spring break from grad school right now, and I was able to kind of separate myself from the Milwaukee area and go to a small town on a lake and just kind of unplug everything. And I feel like in the past year since I started grad school, I haven't had the opportunity to do that. Um, so it kind of like I kind of slowed me down, made me like focus on myself, and now I just feel good. Like I'm coming off this vacation high, and I really hope that it stays with me. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like you needed it.
Yeah, I just feel rejuvenated, and I know that's kind of silly to say, but like I got the rest I needed. I did the things that I wanted to do. Like I went to restaurants by myself. I went to like a nature preserve, and I just kind of did things that I liked doing, and I forgot how nice that feels.
Yeah, kind of the independence back.
Yeah, made me realize I need to do that more often. Because I sometimes get stuck in the pattern of wanting to do things with friends. So like sometimes I'll hold off and I'll like, oh yeah, we'll do it this weekend, and something comes up for me or my friends, which it's never a big deal. But then I realize like if I'm still by myself, then why not still go do it? Like that shouldn't be stopping me from doing the things I like doing.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I finally broke free of that. I feel like this vacation.
You
So,
seem really happy.
thank you. Yeah, I do. um,
How do you know your body was in need of that?
um, I was extremely tired. Like I I was tired, but I couldn't sleep. I felt like a lot of stress. I could feel it on my face, and I guess that's kind of funny to say, but like I felt like my eyes were heavy. My concentration was very weak. Um, I was very irritable, and very like self-judgy. Um, and I think that just came along with just my body being fully exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but now it's kind of gone. Yeah.
It sounds like even though you were stressed out, you were proactive enough to know you needed it now.
Yeah.
At this point.
And I even felt kind of funny going into it, because even the drive there, I was like, is this even a smart thing to do? Like, I'm a female by herself going to this town. But I was like going to a beautiful inn, and like it had like a nice soaker tub, and it was all security too. So it's not like it was a bad thing. It was just even getting there, I was getting like anxious. Like, should I be taking time to think of like self care and focus on me? And then after I was there for 12 hours, I was like, yeah, this was a smart decision. I didn't realize how much I needed it until I actually got there. So, excuse me.
That's okay. I mean, it sounds really nice what you were able to do for yourself, but it still sounds like there were some worries in the back of your head, questioning whether maybe or not this was the right time to go.
Yeah, it's just because I think ever since I started undergrad and now being in grad school, my spring break I never took off. Like I always had big assignments due, or if I didn't have assignments, I did things ahead of time so then it would lighten up the load for further on in the semester. But then this semester was the first time that I was front loading a lot of my big assignments. So then I actually had time set aside that I can actually focus on me during spring break, which I've never done. So it was kind of like on the drive there, all I was thinking, I was like, I could be doing extra homework, or I could be getting ahead on certain things. And I was like, no, me. And I just kept reminding, no, I need it. And then I got there, and then it finally sunk in, like, yes. But
your body was telling you you needed it. Your mind was questioning it.
Yes.
But in the end, overall, how did you feel taking that time for yourself?
It honestly, like, this semester, it's been the hardest semester for me so far, and I know it's going to be getting harder. And I think I was just having a hard time adjusting and I lost a lot of like my desire, motivation of being in grad school. Like, what was the reason why I did this again? I was like, I feel lonely. Um, I have less time to spend with friends. I have less time for me. But then, like, there's always these deadlines, and especially the last 2 weeks, I had two presentations, a group facilitation, a large paper due, and I was so consumed with school that I don't know, like, I forgot where I was going with that.
It's okay.
Yeah, I just think overall, it just helped me. Like, I just needed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the projects, all the things. Sounds like a lot.
Yeah. And I forgot how much it kind of takes. So I'm hoping to implement this more, even though I know it's going to get harder to do so. But even like just a night for myself, or a few hours in the afternoon, or whatever it is, I need to start doing it more frequently so I don't feel like this exhausted and I only get 2 days away. Like I need to do it more often so it decreases like the pressure of it.
Yeah, like a preventative measure.
Yeah. But now that I'm back, it's nice because since I front loaded my semester, I still have big projects, but they don't feel so heavy now.
Oh.
And I don't know if that's because I did take the rest to kind of like self-analyze myself and be like, yeah, all these projects are hard, but look what I just did in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Look how much I did, and I actually got 95s or higher on these projects that I didn't think I was going to do. Like, yes, I know like I'm good, but I also lack in the self-confidence. So I personally knew that doing all these projects at once, I didn't think I would get the grades that I got. And then I also feel validated because since I did put in all the hard work and effort, that I did come out on top. But then it also exhausted me mentally and just further exhausted me physically as well. So, but it's not too bad. But I guess another thing that's kind of worrying me is my practicum site. I don't really I get along with my coworkers, but there's kind of like this weird dynamic as well because I'm the lowest one on the totem pole position, but yet I also get supervision with the highest people at my site, which are the therapists. But then there's a lot of jobs in between where I think they forget that I'm a grad student and I'm learning to be a therapist, but since I'm an AA, which is at the bottom, they tend to like walk over us on the bottom. And it makes me feel uncomfortable a lot. I know it really has affected my self-esteem. For the first part, I feel like I'm slowly building it up, but I didn't really get the support from my supervisor that I was hoping, which I understood her technique. Because I'm in a field, she's in the field about like self-reflection. But the way she explained it to me almost put the blame back on me versus, yes, okay, maybe I should do some introspection on myself, but also let's handle the problem at site. So like maybe attack both sides instead of just me.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like she's kind of bursting that confidence bubble. Like even being at site.
Yeah.
Sounds difficult.
Yeah. And so like an incident was, I was having trouble with 2 YFAs, which are above me but below the therapist. And they made me feel uncomfortable because they would contradict, like, I can put people on hold. But then when I did put them on hold for 2 times, they gave me a lecture of why it was not okay to put them on hold. And I was like, oh, okay. And so this went on for like 5 hours. And it was various stories for each thing that I did. And I was the only AA on the site that day. And 2 of the YFAs kind of going back and forth. So I bring this up with my supervisor the following Friday. And she told me that maybe it's not their communication style, but I'm getting triggered by how they're communicating and I need to work on why I'm being triggered. And she's like, before I even bring it up, and she's like, I don't think we should bring it up. You need to mostly work on it yourself and then report back to me. Which I haven't had the chance to report back with her yet. And she's right, like in a sense, like I was getting triggered by it, But at the same time, like, I just felt like, oh, you're being triggered, Hannah, so that's your problem, you need to work on it, versus maybe the way that they're communicating is still not a positive thing in the work environment.
I hear you say, like, it sounds really difficult. And how did you feel with that conversation?
Well, I grew up in a household where you don't complain about things like that. You just kind of like, oh, it's happening, you take it in. But I'm trying to be better. I'm trying to be self aware of how things are affecting me. And so it kind of took a lot of energy to bring it up in class. I got great feedback. I went back to my supervisor, brought it up, but then and that took like so much courage to do that. Like I was kind of having a lot of anxiety about bringing it up. And so I finally bring it up, and then I didn't get the answer I was hoping for. And I've been trying to understand, like, of course, I have to do some self reflection. And I was like, I get that part, but I feel like we could have done more.
Mm-hmm. How do you feel about doing the self reflection?
It felt okay. Like, it made me think of the way that I was brought up and like certain things that I experienced as a kid. And she's right. Like, the way that they were lecturing me and I didn't have a voice, and there was a lot of like, you could have done better type things. And I was like, okay, like, she was right. Like, I was being triggered by it. But then I didn't feel like it solved the problem. Like, it made me feel better to understand, like, maybe I need to stop and kind of like, I can block it out, or I can ignore it, like blocking and ignoring it. But again, like, if they're going to keep doing it, so I'm just going to keep blocking it out, and it's okay for them to talk to me that way. And if it's me, I wonder if there's more employees that are doing it, but like, they're too scared to say something.
So you're not only thinking about yourself, you're thinking about the others that this could have implications on.
Yeah. And then I had another incident with so out of the two, there was one that was working this past Friday. And there was like a guardian who was calling in about a youth, and they were going on about the youth and how they need to come into the shelter. They want to leave, they have anger problems, they have all these issues. Well, they give me a number to call the youth. I call the youth, I find out it's their grandparents' house. I talk to the grandparent. The grandparent was like, no, the guardian just wants the youth out of the house. The guardian doesn't care for her kids anymore, and they're trying to dump the kid. And so I'm listening to the grandparent talk for like over 30 minutes. Then I document all that back down. I had to call the guardian back and update her on the situation. Mm-hmm. And then the guardian was irate about it. Like, oh, the youth is not at the grandparents' house. Like, they were supposed to be there. And she's like, she puts me on hold, calls the youth at school. The youth is in the classroom, and the mom starts yelling at the youth to talk to me. And I explained to the guardian that this is not an appropriate time. We will wait until the youth is out of school. Once she gets settled, the youth was going to get out of school in 30 minutes. Yeah. And so I was like, yeah, in 30 minutes, the youth, once they're settled, they can give us a call back, because we have to get consent from the guardian and the youth before the youth is allowed to stay with us. And the guardian just started yelling at the youth nonstop for 5 minutes. Wow. And I explained again, like, we're not going to do it now. And I turned to my YFA, and she's just like, no, this is all you. You're on your own. You really need to figure this out. And I'm like turning to her because like the guardian wasn't listening to me. Yep. So the guardian continues to yell at the kid in the middle of class, trying to say all these, like personal things about why the youth would want to come into the shelter. Yeah. And so I finally get a word in. I put the guardian on hold, and I'm talking to the YFA. The YFA is now talking to the other guardian and the grandparents on the line. And so the YFA puts them on hold, and she was like, Hannah, why aren't you handling this situation? And I was like, I've tried, and now I'm struggling. I don't know what to do. And she was just like huffing and puffing, and she's like, oh my gosh. And she's like, did you not tell the guardian and the youth that it's not okay to talk about this at school? And I was like, 100%. I've said it multiple times now. but it's not working.
Mm-hmm.
And now I don't know what the next step is. Like, I've never been in this situation. And so she goes over and deals with it. She was on the phone for over an hour talking to the guardian. She kind of pretty much hangs up on that guardian and the youth, and then she talks back to the other guardian and the grandparent, and then the situation's done. And then she gives me a 10-minute lecture of why I couldn't be better.
Wow.
Sorry, I know that was a very long story.
Okay.
So I just kind of sat there and I was like, okay, I don't mind teaching. Like, I love learning. I just didn't know how to handle that situation. They said usually when you're in a new situation, you kind of learn as you go and like ask for help as you go. And I did. And I was turned away and said, I need to figure it out. And the YFA didn't even know what was happening. She didn't even give me the chance to like explain it further. So like my voice wasn't even heard.
Yeah.
And yeah, just made me feel like crap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds like you want these learning opportunities, but when you're given them, you don't have the support.
Yeah. It hasn't happened since. Like, it didn't happen on Tuesday, but it always seems to be with one YFA.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah. And I know, like, once I go into the internship position, I won't be working with the YFAs at all. Like, I'll be coming in more at night to do, like, therapy sessions with the youth, or I'll be coming in on the weekends to do multiple sessions with whoever's at the shelter.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be just, like, bypassing the YFAs, but, like, they make my internship or practicum stressful to be there.
It sounds overwhelming and frustrating.
Yeah. So, and I'm nervous because tomorrow is for my supervisor meeting. We're going to go over my evaluation for midterms, and my supervisor is going to sign my hours, which the hours I'm not too worried about. But I'm nervous to hear about feedback because, like, I did bring up that one issue, and now I'm worried that that's what's going to be the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not. Sometimes getting constructive feedback does bother me personally, but overall I do want to hear it because that's the only way I'm going to learn, and like I am really fresh at counseling, so I know that it's not going to be perfect all the way around. So like I know I'm going to have like icky feelings coming out of it just in general, but because of the situations that's been happening at my site for like the past 3 weeks, I'm just kind of more nervous about what's going to be talked about and what's really going to be said about me, because my supervisor asks all the YFAs and they ask the other employees how I'm doing. And if those YFAs don't like me, I'm nervous if they've been just saying negative things about me. Yeah.
And that's frustrating because it doesn't make for a very good experience on top of school.
Yeah. So, and I think for the past 3 weeks dealing with the site, and then I had all these assignments that I was doing, I think I was just all happening. I don't know. It was just hitting from all sides.
Going back to your self-care trip.
Yeah.
It was much needed.
Yeah. I feel like it was. And like I still feel happy. I know that I was just talking about negative things, but like there is just something inside me that I feel like I am growing in my confidence. I am becoming more self-aware, and like I just feel like I'm usually like a realist or like a more negative person, and coming off from this vacation, I just feel like I'm in a really positive mood, and I just see everything on the bright side, and I think it will stay because like I just feel like I'm changing too. Like it's not just like a fleeting moment. Like I feel like it's a foundation being built right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How would you feel with the energy you have right now walking into site tomorrow, even though you're nervous?
I know I'll be okay. And I think at the beginning of the semester, I wouldn't have been able to say that. Like, I feel like I can go in, I can hear it, and yes, I might have to lick my wounds after for like 2 hours. But I know I'm growing, and I know it's okay to make mistakes right now. That's also been like a battle with me all my life, that I have to be a perfectionist, no mistakes, like just clean across the board. And I'm coming to accept like it doesn't have to be that way.
can understand that.
Yeah.
I'm the same way, and especially when you talked about grades earlier, how you were second guessing yourself, even though you did perform well, and maybe that was a boost of confidence you needed too.
I think so. It was kind of odd too. So I just led group facilitation for the first time. Sorry, I feel like I'm jumping all over the place.
That's okay.
But I feel like they kind of connect. So for group therapy last week, I was nervous before I did it, but I was nervous because I wasn't feeling anxious like I usually do. And I don't know if that's because I had so many presentations in a row and a lot of big projects that I had to be vulnerable. And then all of a sudden, like, I was really nervous and I was like fainty feeling because I was like, oh my God, I'm like not feeling how I usually feel. And then it was freaking me out. Like, that's how I felt like I could measure it almost last week before spring break started, was that like, that's part of the thing that's happening. I feel it happening. I don't know what it is yet, but like, I know it's part of self-confidence. I know that I'm becoming more comfortable in my counseling skin. Like, I'm getting the grades I want because I'm putting in the effort. Like, I just feel myself overall becoming who I've always wanted to be. And then going on my vacation, just kind of let it sink in, you know? And then I came back like, this is going to be okay. Like, this is good. Like, yeah, I'm going to make mistakes, but it's okay. Like, it's weird because I've never felt that way.
Yeah.
Like, so I feel like I had like a weird epiphany. Yeah. So.
It sounds like to me that the little things over the last several weeks have helped your self-confidence.
Yeah.
And have also helped you grow. It might not just be one thing, but
yeah,
like you said, the epiphany. It was what you really needed.
And I agree with you. Like, that's why, like, I don't think it's gonna go away. Like, I have like this back fear, like it's gonna go, and I was like, no, it's not. Like, I'm becoming more me, and it's gonna stay. And of course, I'm still gonna have moments where I'm anxious. Like, I'm still not a big public speaker fan. I still sometimes question myself and my writing abilities, or if I'm doing the assignment correctly. Like, I know that's always gonna be there, but I'm almost okay with it always being there. Like, it's not gonna be so overwhelming that I can't perform, or like it's gonna interfere with anything that I'm doing, like it's had in the past.
And you know you can do it.
Yeah, I do, which is. Yeah, that's part of the growth I'm feeling. It's like, I can. It's fine.
You should be proud. That's awesome.
Thank you. Like, it's been a long time coming, per se. Yeah, I also felt a little behind because I feel like a lot of my peers, and maybe that's just my perception of it, like maybe it's just in my head, but I just always didn't feel like I was up to par with my peers. I felt like they always had like this air of confidence about them, and it's just a goal of mine that I've always wanted to have, to feel like I belonged. And now that I feel like it's happening, I'm starting to understand like I do belong, and it was kind of like one of the validating things I needed to prove that I do belong here.
Yeah.
So
I really like that you said that too, especially with the social supports, that you might feel like they have it all together.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they don't.
Yeah.
But on the outside.
Yeah.
And that can kind of tamper with the way you're feeling.
Yeah. Because I feel like I've always kind of, you know, in your head, you're like, oh, I'm the only one feeling this way. Like, they don't look messy on the outside, or like, they're not really struggling. But like, of course they are. Like, we're all in grad school. We're all learning. We're all new at this trade. So, you know, I'm not alone in this process. And I need to just take those glasses off, because I feel like I've had those glasses on too long. But yeah.
It's hard to take them off.
Yeah. And like, learning to kind of take them off once in a while. Like, they're not off completely.
Yeah.
But like, I take them off a few times. And then I think by taking them off boosts my self-confidence.
Yeah.
And it also gives me like self-awareness moments. And it just kind of like, you know, it escalates in a positive way for me to help me grow better. Maybe even faster. But, you know, there's moments where I put them back on.
Yeah.
So.
Looking at yourself from like a different angle How would your past self think about you right now?
The first word, surprised. But I was like, would it be surprised? I think, well, proud by how far I've come. Proud that I live on my own, states away from family. Proud that I made it into a really great grad program. Like, and actually doing good. Like, not just okay, but like good in my eyes, you know? I guess proud. Not surprised because of the effort I do put in. And I know I put in effort. It's not like I'm not trying to sound conceited, but like, I do put in the effort. Like, I don't sleep because I want to put in the effort because I have that perfectionism issue. So, like, you know, like, I know I put in the work and now, like, I see it and I can recognize it in myself that I'm doing good. Like, I'm doing better than I ever thought I would be doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I know, like, some people in my life, like, I would never get it that said to me. So I think being able to realize it within myself and I can say it to me just means everything.
Because all those things you just said about yourself, that's what you're telling me.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
And the reason I ask about that is because the past is important. And it seems like it has been important to you.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, you know, I grew up in a divorced family, you know, very unsupported father. There's a lot more dark stuff that goes along with that, but I'm not going to talk about it. And then, you know, growing up with my mom, and I personally didn't have a formal education growing up, and then going to community college to, you know, feel like starting from the bottom and you know, crawl your way to the top. And then you finally get into an undergrad program, and then you graduate with honors, and then you get into a graduate program, and it's just like this long process of like, you know, seems like Mount Everest, but it seems like now I'm coming down from Mount Everest, and I succeeded without like too bad of damage to me.
Yeah.
And sorry, that's like my first time really explaining that out loud. So like, I know that was like fumbling, but you know, like you finally get there, and then I realize like, wait, I'm not climbing anymore. I'm coming down. Like I still have work to do because it takes work to come down, but I'm coming down. So.
And that has to feel awesome.
It does. Because, yeah. It just does.
So, looking forward to school. How is this new person you see in yourself? How is that going to get you to the end of the semester?
I haven't thought about that yet. Hold on. I think knowing that it's just going to get harder because of less time, because I'm going to be working like an internship and going to school, and it just kind of proves like if I can do this, I can do the next hard hurdle. And yeah, it might be harder than I've ever expected, but like look at all the hard stuff I've already overcome. So like I can do it. It just, you know, a little bit more elbow grease than normal, but I can do that. Yeah, just I think it just proved to me I can. Yeah, I just can do it. I was like, is there more? But I was like, no, it's just like, I think I always worried that I couldn't. But like, I'm proving to myself, I can do this. And each time I do something difficult, like it just gets further and further with it.
Mount Everest doesn't look too
big
after all.
Yeah. And I think going in more positive, because I feel like the past year, like I haven't been positive. And then not being positive makes me sound really negative with my friends. And then like sometimes I would say things that I really regret, like it comes off way too harsh and all that. And so to me, like now feeling more comfortable in my skin and more confident, and it's adding to like the more positive side. Like I know I also wouldn't be negatively impacting the people around me like I feel like I've been doing. So then I feel like my social group will also become a little better. And maybe that was just in my head, but personally, I feel like it was affecting how I was interacting with my friends. So,
I mean, it sounds like from your work life to your school life to your social life, you care about other people. You care about the way they perceive you, but how you exert your behaviors, emotions.
yeah, I do. Which gets exhausting, but but like I really don't like wanna, because like when I get really down, I get really really irritable, and then like I forget to like not control myself, but like watch how I affect others, and then I become disappointed in myself, which then kind of like adds to the spiraling. Um, because I don't want to do that. Like I've also been on the end of that. Like it's not a fun experience. But I think with me, getting settled and just feeling good, I know I'll be more positive with my friends too. And I don't mean it in a toxic way, but just like in general, not being so down all the time. Because I know I'll still have moments, but it doesn't have to be all the time, So.
And that's good for your own self too.
Yeah.
And seeing others happy too.
Yeah. And it's kind of like realizing too that with me growing, I'm not needing so much outside validation as I needed before. Because I feel like I didn't get a lot of validation growing up. So then once I got into college and all that stuff, it's just like when I did really good, I needed someone to tell me like I did good and like what else did I do fantastic about this project. And so like everything was constant. But now that I'm becoming more confident, it's like I really appreciate what people say because maybe it's the first time someone said it to me, but it's not going to change my whole view of myself or like how I'm going to practice or do the job. So that's what kind of goes back to my practicum site too. It's like I know I might have a moment where like, man, that kind of stung, but like it's not going to affect my work. It's just going to add to me and how to be better.
I really like that. I think it's encouraging for you to walk out into the world with that mindset.
Yeah.
I think as we're like coming to our last few minutes of session, maybe talk about some ways that we can like help continue this solid pattern of what's happening.
Okay.
So I'm thinking of like cognitive behavioral therapy, and although we know that your past is important, maybe focusing on your current emotions and your current behaviors to kind of help or keep changing them, like you say you are, and we might change in the future, but I think of CBT as this little CBT triangle, your thoughts, behaviors, and emotions. And I noticed how you said that when your thoughts and your emotions, you're kind of stressed out at school, you might not be acting in the way that you want to with others, with your peers.
Yeah.
And your body, physiological, might feel those effects too. Like you needed the stress, like you needed the stress relief. So what are some self-care tasks that you enjoy that you could fit into your everyday life?
I think what worked for me this past week was unplugging from any school and job related things. And I know I can't do that all the time, but whenever I have the chance, like just mute it. Like talking to my friends and stuff like that wasn't so bad, but like the email, the notifications, the work stuff, like I don't need to constantly do that. I noticed too, like doing things by myself, I don't mind. Like I love my friends, but there's moments where like I took myself out to dinner on vacation and I loved it. And I used to do that all the time in undergrad. And I was like, why did I stop doing that? So I think kind of like appreciating me. So like going to a restaurant or even like a brewery or something like for myself, unplugging. And then I'm a big nature nerd. So like I went to like a preserve too, and I forgot how much I like that. And I know winter's a little bit more difficult because like if it does snow or I don't have snowshoes or anything, but like just like going out into nature, and it could just be like sitting outside for a few minutes, I think would help me. Yeah.
So you have a lot of things that you could do.
Yeah. Which I forgot about.
Yeah.
Like I forgot about all those things.
When you're in the mess and the stress, it's kind of hard to think of those things.
Yeah.
So, do you think it's reasonable? Like, I'll ask you, what do you think is a reasonable amount of time a week you could spend working or doing an enjoyable activity?
Oh gosh.
Or if that's too much, what do you think you want to implement next week, like just for 1 week?
I think I could do at least like an entire afternoon, like 3 to 4 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Because now that majority of like my big projects are done, and I still have like papers and things to do, and like, but I have time now. Like they're not all happening at once.
Yeah.
Where I can actually take an afternoon or even like a weekend, like just like a day on the weekend.
Yeah.
To myself. That I think now I have time to do that. I think that's a reasonable thing. I could start with a few hours and see where that takes me, because sometimes I do get stressed, like I could be working, but I need to realize I need to start small, and then maybe I could do a full day.
Yeah. That's the cool thing about CBT is
mm-hmm.
like it's kind of like a cycle of things that might be going on. So just being cognizant of you not overdoing activities where it becomes like avoidance of things, which can be difficult.
Yeah.
How do you feel? Gave me kind of a reaction to the avoidance.
Yeah. I do that. Like an avoidance in a way of like avoiding me. Because like everything else, like I'm trying to manage school and friendships and how people are feeling, and that I avoid taking care of me. And I feel like that's kind of been like my entire life. I was a middle kid of 4, and I feel like I was just always the middle person who had to manage people's emotions and deal with things around me. And so as I became older, I think I just always put myself on the back burner all the time, that I just avoid myself and my physical needs.
That sounds like it could get lonely too.
Yeah. I think that's why like I get like, how can I say it? Like I feel better when I do things by myself, because I think I am used to doing things more with myself. Like I never had a lot of friends growing up. Like I only had like 1 or 2 friends, and if they were busy, they were busy. And so I was like, I would do things, and I just kind of learned. But like, it's weird because now I like it. Like I do feel refreshed when I do things by myself. But yeah, there are moments where like I wish I had more friends, or like my friends were more available, but like not in, like I know they have their lives too. Like I don't know how to explain it. Like they have their lives. I'm not like, I feel like a child when I say it that way. Like I wish we'd hang out more. But like so yeah, but I do like spending time with myself. Like I live on my own. I do everything pretty much on my own. And I've been doing that ever since undergrad. But yeah, there are lonely moments. That's for sure.
Independence and lonely.
Yeah.
They sound contrasting, but I think they go hand in hand.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's because I'm more comfortable that way. Like, is it just because I'm comfortable? I don't know. I'm gonna have to like think about that. It's like, maybe I do like doing things by myself because I'm comfortable that way. Sorry, I feel like I had a moment.
That's okay.
Yeah.
You're allowed to have a moment. I get that. I'm a very independent person myself. So maybe like I said, working on that self-care to kind of avoid yourself going in too deep with one part of the triangle, where you can really balance yourself.
Yeah.
And focus on yourself like you did.
Yeah.
So thanks for coming in.
Yeah.